is up, everyone? Welcome to part 2 of my huge 2020 Ubiquiti UniFi home network upgrade. If you haven't seen part 1, go and check it out. We unbox the gear, we talk about the gear, and this video will make a lot more sense if you've seen part 1. So, today we're going to get a basic functioning UniFi network up and running in my home, and we're hopefully going to get some of this kit installed in at least a semi-permanent way. Originally I was going to dedicate part 2 to the entire configuration process and get the full functionality of the network up and running while the gear was still outside of the rack, but I've changed my mind. What I'm going to do is get a basic network that's at least somewhat functional up and running outside of the rack. We're going to move this gear into the rack and we're going to transition my home over to the UniFi network prior to the network configuration being complete. That way, I get to get the video out more efficiently for you guys, and it also breaks it up and makes it a little more interesting, because in part 3, we can then go into advanced configuration and we can finish off the install. So for instance, we'll permanently mount the access point and stuff like that in part 3. So we've got the UDM Pro here. It's connected to the switch with the SFP cable. Connected to the UDM Pro is this orange cable, and on the end here I've just got my Ethernet adapter because we will probably need to plug in a laptop to do some configuration. So that's sat there ready. This black one is the WAN feed. I've currently got it unplugged. We're going to power it up with the WAN unplugged. I've just got it piggybacked to one of these RJ45 keystones so that I can quickly whip this behind my current router and plug in the WAN feed from there. In the switch side of things, the switch is connected, and on the first 3 ports we've got our 3 PoE devices. We've got the access point, the camera and the switch, and they're not just plugged in randomly, they're plugged into the ports that they're going to be plugged into when this gear is in the rack. It's all connected to power. I've got it plugged into a power strip at the back there, and what we're going to do live on camera is I'm going to plug the socket in and we're going to see all of this come to life. So bear with me while I walk over to the plug and plug it in. Here we go. First boot of my brand new network. In 3, 2, 1, go. Woohoo! Here it is, folks. And I can hear a tiny, tiny whisper of fan noise coming from this direction, which of course will be the fans in the UDM Pro. I'm pretty sure that the switch is completely fanless. So you can see on the screens on the side here, they are booting up. I just heard the click from the camera there. Aha, look, the switch is lit up. Activity LED on the drive there, so it's all doing its thing, still booting. Everything's coming to life. Hey, and the switch appears to be booted, as we can see there. The UDM is still booting up currently. Little light over there on the Flex Mini as well. Do we have a light on the access point? Yes, we do. It's just my video lights are so bright, you can't see the white light. So that's blinking white, waiting to be provisioned. And there should be a light on the front of this guy. It's facing the other way because the network cable is so stiff. Ooh, I should really peel that off. I left it on there for a little bit of protection. Okay, so we've got something up on the screen of the UDM Pro. I'm going to get you guys a closer shot, and we are actually going to attempt to set this up with the mobile app, because we'll get plenty of time to play around with the computer side of things later on and in part 3, so we may as well go for the initial setup of the UDM using the mobile app. So the screen on the UDM there says ready for setup, and look at that! New Dream Machine Pro found. Okay, so let's just set it up. Connecting. Plug in an internet cable. Right, okay, so it wants the WAN feed straight away, no messing. So I'm going to yank the feed out the back of my current router and we're going to piggyback it into this cable. So now that I've done that, it's detected it instantly and it is going to try and connect to the internet. Now, I am pretty sure that this initial attempt won't work, as I'll need to input my username and password. So we're going to be connecting using PPPoE. I have a fibre to the cabinet connection here from PlusNet in the UK. It's their Fibre Extra package. So originally when I signed up, that was an 80-20 connection, so 80 down, 20 up. My line speed, my sort of maximum speed that they tell me I can get, is 66 meg. I typically experience around a 60 meg connection. So it's an okay connection for my location. For years and years here, sort of somewhat out in the sticks, we were stuck with extremely slow broadband, but over the last 5 years or so, they've upgraded, and fibre to the cabinet has been available for some time now, so it's much quicker. So no internet connection, that is as expected. So we're going to tap advanced internet setup here, and as you can see, it's set to using DHCP, so naturally that's not going to work for us. We're going to select PPPoE, interface 1, and this is where we put our username and password in. So we're going to put in our PlusNet username. So we're going to save that info and see how it does, trying to connect to my internet connection there. I'm using a standard OpenReach modem. You guys have seen in my previous videos, that's just sat downstairs. And hopefully this will be fairly straightforward, because connecting with other routers has not been a problem. So fingers crossed. So it says no internet detected. We're going to try again, and then we'll go back in for a second time and check the details that I've typed in. Okay, so no internet connection again there. Let's just check all of our information. We'll type it in again before we start troubleshooting any further. Just check everything that I've typed in. So I've re-entered my information, and we're going to give it another go here, waiting for internet connection. Quite cool, at the top of the screen here it says time elapsed 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes. So I mean, you can sort of check how long it's taking you to get all of this figured out. So we've got no internet detected once again, guys. So I'm going to pause recording for just a second while I log on to PlusNet on the account section and just check that I've got my details 100% perfect, because, you know, that would be a good place to start before I start trying to go more advanced and find out all along that I'm just using the wrong username or something. So I'm going to triple check my details and I'll be back. Sorry if you can hear some noise in the background, guys. It decided to start raining and I've got a skylight in here, so it's a bit loud. Let's hope this does something for us. Okay, so we've got no internet detected. Let's press the troubleshoot button and see. Your internet cable modem appears to be plugged in, but is still not connected to the internet. Power your modem off on blah blah blah. Okay, this process may take several minutes. I'm going to go downstairs, going to have a look at the modem. We're going to see if it's connected. It's a bit of a pain because my modem takes at least 10 to 15 minutes to resync with the VDSL connection. So yeah, we'll go and power cycle it anyway, because we may need to do that. Once we restart the modem, we can press the I've restarted the modem button, but I'll of course wait for it to sync up to a connection again. So let's nip down and do that. So you guys can see there's a DSL light there. She is connected, but we're going to have to interrupt that connection for a minute to restart the modem. Here we go. So I'm just going to sit here on the floor and just wait for it to reconnect. So the modem has restarted, reconnected. So let's jab that button. I've restarted my modem and we will give this another go. Okay, so no internet detected. Let's press troubleshoot again. And it just asks you to restart the modem. So if we press I've restarted the modem again, right, so that is the troubleshoot loop there. That's okay. So we know that there are no more troubleshoot steps built in here, so that's no problem. What I will do now, folks, is pause recording and do a quick Google search. Again, double, triple check I've got everything correct, and we'll come back to this and see if we can get this up and running. Holy cow, folks, we are connected to the internet after 39 minutes. I didn't change anything. Just suddenly we're connected. It's just popped up internet connected. So yeah, that's excellent. I mean, maybe I should have just waited for it to connect, maybe, because I also read that it can take a while for the internet to just connect with the Dream Machine. So I don't know, guys. It's connected now. So yeah, let's see what happens from here on out. So we're connected, which is good. So here we get to choose the name of our Dream Machine. Oh gosh, I did not think about what I wanted to call it. What are we gonna call it, guys? Should we keep with the space kind of sci-fi theme? I think we should. We are gonna go full on this. We're gonna call it TARDIS. There we have it. Sign in with my Ubiquiti account. That is excellent. Enable Touch ID for Ubiquiti. Auto update. Yes, we will auto update. Latest firmware contains important security performance enhancements for your entire network. It's going to check at 3 in the morning. I have a lot of scheduled tasks in the middle of the night for transfers and backups and things. So I'm going to actually make this a tad later. We're going to go... I could alter my backups, I suppose, but we'll just go for, say, 5:30 a.m. will be fine. So... testing the internet speed test. Okay. Come on then, let's see what you get. That is fluctuating quite a bit, isn't it? And there's the upload. Okay, brilliant. So download and upload speed, that is completely in line with what I expect from my ISP, so that's brilliant. Check this out. Adjust your speeds to what your internet service provider has promised you. So they did say that I'd be able to get 66 down. So we'll pop that in. And on the upload, guys, I signed up for 20, but I signed up for 20 when they told me I'd be getting like 78, 80 megs. So presumably 20 is not achievable anymore. They don't actually tell you what they promise you for upload speed, but we'll just bung it in at 20. You can probably change this afterwards. So I believe this would just be to show you graphs of exactly how you're doing speed-wise in comparison to how you should be doing. So I'm not sure really what it affects. So we've got a London time zone, United Kingdom, daily update 5:30 a.m. That's perfect. TARDIS, Tom Smith, that's me. Finish. Setting up network. Okay. Setup complete. Updating firmware. Setup complete. That was pretty quick. So we're all updated with the latest firmware. And go to dashboard. Establishing a connection to TARDIS. Connected. This is all the great... Oh, look at that, guys. Everything is great. Nice. I was just about to say as well, hey, this is all going great. How would you rate the setup process of your Dream Machine Pro? We'll just give it full stars anyway. Here we have it. Excellent. Wow. Okay. Everything is great. I love that. Internet connection is okay. PlusNet, British Telecom, 0 clients. Most active clients, blah, blah, blah. Devices, Dream Machine, wireless, nothing there. Okay. Okay, cool. So I think what we'll do now, folks, is we'll swap over to the good old trusty MacBook and see a little bit more of what's going on by logging directly into the Dream Machine here. So the app has been great so far. We'll take a little look at the app more later on in the video series, either in this part or in the next part. We are now on my computer and we are going to go to setup.ui.com. This connection is not private. Show details. Visit. Okay, and we are here. Aha, yes. Okay. So we are in to TARDIS, and as you guys can see, we have our network listed right there. Okay, so I just had to pause there for a second to prop up my MacBook because screen recording makes the fans go absolutely bonkers. So I've hoisted it up into mid-air, so hopefully the fans don't go as crazy, otherwise the audio will be horrible for you guys. So here we are. Let's take a look at the settings first and foremost. We can see my Dream Machine and some of the stats down here for the performance. If we go over to applications, aha, yes, so we have Protect listed here and we can install it. So we'll do that now while we're here, and then we'll check for updates on the network. We'll give that button a jab as well and see what happens, because before we start pressing loads of different buttons, we want to make sure we're all updated and whatnot. Okay, so it looks like that's installed. If we press check for update, presumably there'll be nothing because we've just installed Protect. Okay, excellent. And we'll check for update here as well on the network side. Okay, and nothing has popped up there either, so that looks good. Location advanced. We won't do anything in here for now. We'll just back out of this menu, and now we have Protect here. So I've just dropped my resolution, guys, in the hope that you'll get less fan noise from my machine because it's working quite hard to record the screen here. My MacBook Pro is a good 7 years old now, so it's doing quite well, I think. Now then, let's just, you can see we've got Protect there now because we've installed it, but let's jump into the network and let's see if we can see all of our devices. The access point has a white light on it. The camera has its sort of whitish blue light on it, and the little switch is lit up. It's all blinking away here. That other switch has some flashing lights on it and things. So, presumably, we'll be able to adopt these. Ooh, now we're talking. Dark, that's better. Okay, that's cool. I like that a lot. Right then, how on earth do we adopt devices? Now, this is not a tutorial. This is me finding my own way with UniFi from the ground up, completely no experience whatsoever. So let's have a little press of some buttons here and see what we find. So this is our device section, and as far as I'm aware, our Dream Machine Pro here is connected, but I do believe that there should be a list of devices here. For just a little bit of fun, I'm going to grab a patch cable and I'm going to patch in an RJ45 connection on the switch to an RJ45 connection on the Dream Machine, and see if that shows us our devices here. Aha, okay, so our devices have just popped up now that we've made that link. So the SFP link isn't currently working. That might have to be something that we set up later on. So if we adopt the switch, then we can then find out what to do. So let's just press adopt on that one. Adopting the Flex Mini. Let's press, can you adopt more than one thing at a time? Probably can. That is our 16-port switch. And that, we'll just wait a minute for those to finish. And then we can hopefully delve into the switch and take a little look at why that SFP connection is not working. So we've got a little warning light there on the switch. Okay, that's gone away. No problem, let's let it do its thing. The light on the access point has now changed from white to blue. Probably quite hard to tell on the camera, the difference with the lights actually. But it's now a blue light on that switch as well. So this is the additional cable that we plugged in. Got the SFP cable there, but nothing from that so far. Okay, and the access point is now connected as well. So, looking at our switch here, do we have to enable these SFP ports, I wonder? So, this SFP port, SFP1, is the one that we currently have plugged in. It's set to all as a switch port profile. I don't know how you can sort of turn it on, if that's something that needs to be done. Let's have a look at that same, let's have a look at the SFP on the Dream Machine. Networks, ports, here we go. Okay, let's have a look at that guy. That is the one that we want, port 11. Port number 8, that's the one connected to my MacBook at the moment. Those ports appear to be there, obviously. I'm going to unplug the little RJ45 link that I made to the switch and see if those other devices disappear. Ah! Some devices have now disconnected. Now that I've pulled that cable. Okay guys, I can confirm that those SFP ports aren't working. So I'm going to do a quick Google search on how to get them fired up, because I could be clicking around here for ages trying to figure it out myself. So a new quick search. Good old forum posts to the rescue. Apparently you need to manually configure port 11 to be at 1 gig speed if you're using it with a standard SFP link. So we will do that right now. We've got 10 gig and 1 gig, so we'll go for 1 gig. Apply. And with a bit of luck, that should work. Yes, we now have that link green, which is nice. So let's check it out on the switch. Switch 16. This port, we should see this port go green as well. Fantastic. So we are linked. I can now successfully unplug the little RJ45 connector that I have here. And the lights are now on the front of the UDM Pro, quite successfully there above the SFP ports. So that is perfect. Now that we have everything adopted, everything is green, so I am happy about that. Next step is, we actually have internet right now, folks. We have a functioning network, so we can go to Google. You know, I've been doing my forum searching on this machine here, and it's been absolutely fine. So we are connected, and we now have all our devices. So what should we do next? Let's get a Wi-Fi network up and running. Just a standard Wi-Fi network for the default network we have here. So if we go into settings, at the moment, network-wise, networks, local networks, we just have the standard local network here listed. So at the moment, this is our only network, it's our LAN network. We will stick with that for now and just create a Wi-Fi network around this guy. So Wi-Fi networks, and it looks like it's already got a Wi-Fi network set up by default. So we're going to remove this default network, guys. We're just going to click that away. There we go. And we're just going to make our own new one. So create new Wi-Fi network. Create basic Wi-Fi network or an advanced one. We're going to do a basic one for now. And we're going to enter a name. So for now, we're going to call it IMNC HQ. And later on, we're going to be changing this network, and we're actually going to be repurposing this network later on, but just bunging up a quick Wi-Fi network for now. Let's just take a look if we can see that network. Starship is my Airport Extreme and Time Capsule, but there we have it, IMNC HQ. That's the new network we've created. So let's tap in our password, and we should just jump into a full blown network here. There we have it, connected successfully, and we have a successful network connection. There we have it, part 1. So that is up and running with both Wi-Fi and a wired network from my dream machine at a very, very basic level. So this network right now is basically functioning pretty much exactly like my network has all this time, my existing unmanaged network. So we haven't defined anything so far. We've just adopted our equipment, created the basic Wi-Fi network that is using the default WAN, the default LAN network on the machine here that's already set up, which is just the 192.168.1.whatever. So as it stands, every single port on the switch and the UDM, where's my stuff, guys? There. I will get used to this. Every single switch port is just open. It's defined for all traffic, all everything. It's acting like a dumb switch now, and the Wi-Fi is open to everything. So this is set up and ready to go for a very basic home network. What I think we'll do now quickly is just jump back into Protect, and we can adopt our camera. So if we do that, add camera, there's the G3 Flex, and we'll add that device. You've not selected any device to adopt, have I not? Add. Oh, I deselected it. There we have it. So there's my camera adopting. So what's really cool about this switch is it's auto-scenting PoE, so you just plug in the devices, it powers them up straight away, it knows whether they're a PoE device or not, so that's really cool. So it's now updating the camera, so I'm presuming this is the software update for the camera itself. We'll just wait here a minute while it does this. And it looks like we're done, so online. And let's just jump into a view here, add new view. We've only got the one camera, so let's just click one camera and let rip on that. Next, and we'll pop in this camera and save. There we have it, the view from my camera. Seems to be working just fine, so that's excellent. Let's pop that back down there. I have to have it facing that direction, guys, because the patch cable that it's plugged in with is very stiff. So that's the camera up and running. That was really easy as well. Of course, we're going to stick the cameras on their own VLAN, get them out of the way. Now then, there are devices with firmware updates available. Can we click on this as a notification? Doesn't appear like we can, so let's go into our devices and check this out. So we've got our UDM here, but these guys are all coming up with upgrades, so I'm assuming that is referring to the updating of the software. Yes, it is. So let's do the update. Now, can you update more than one device at a time? Let's just go for it. I don't see why not. Let's close that one and update this guy as well, the Flex Mini. Okay, excellent. So they will all update to the latest. Let's just give it a minute to do that. I think it's cool to point out that while the devices are updating, they do flash between the white that they are when they're in a non-adopted state and the normal blue. So there's the access point, and the switch is doing the same flashing. Obviously, we're updating the switch here as well, the large switch. Oh, look at that. See if it'll focus. Even says it on the screen, look. So that is everything updated. We can now see that the upgrade link buttons here are gone. So the kit re-provisioned as well. The whole thing took no more than about 5 minutes to download, install and re-provision. So we're now completely up to date, which is excellent. So I'm going to come down here and I am going to have a little look at some of these threat management features. Now, one of the biggest things with the UDM Pro is being newer hardware, much more capable hardware than the USG. It is able to run the intrusion detection system and the intrusion prevention system much more efficiently, meaning that you won't see any slowdown in your internet connection. The USG is capable of running them up to a point. I believe with my speed internet connection I'd be pretty fine, to be honest, but we are going to turn all this stuff on here. Levels, this is cool. So this defines the levels of the security. So you can see that's least security, that's the absolute most. Everything is locked down there, just absolutely to the max. We've also got intrusion prevention system. So the detection and the prevention are separate. So what I think we'll go for first is the detection, because I'll get an alert with these threats. We're gonna whap it all the way up to level 5 as well, because this is all new to me, so I'll be able to play with this and see exactly when I get a notification for what. So I'm just gonna apply the changes there. And now that is up and running on my system, and I won't see any speed difference. You know, I've got like this 66 meg absolute maximum speed connection, so it won't slow me down whatsoever. I still love that, guys. Everything is great. That is good. And you can see now we have a little tiny bit more information here on our home screen. So this is so cool, guys. I've just been having a click around in the little fiddle. You can block entire countries. You can just click on them, block like that, right there on the interface. Absolutely amazing. There's a log of the traffic here, all sorts of things. This interface is really, really cool, guys. Let's just have a quick look at what else we've got in here. I haven't been down here. What's this? You just get so much information with this, guys. It just tells you everything. Even tells you the power draw of the power over Ethernet, which is really cool. Here's our devices. Look, there's my MacBook Pro just chilling there. Client experience, 100. Wow, wow, wow. You can just see everything. You can see everything. I was wondering what the locate feature was on this list of equipment here. So you jab locate. Check that out. It just flashes the access point, and then you can just turn it back off. And then I was wondering, okay, so how does it work with the other stuff? If we locate the switch, check this out. It lights up and does a little thing on the screen. That is awesome. It's so cool. It works with all of them. So if you've got a massive network, you see that flashing away little blue light? And stop. If you've got a massive network and you don't know what's what, you can just locate it. Brilliant. So I'm now at the stage where I have everything updated and everything at least working to a very basic level. So I think the next logical step for us to take would be to pull down my old network. Now, yeah, this network isn't locked down. It doesn't have all of my VLAN set up that I have planned for all the added security with my IoT devices and the security camera and everything like that. But my old network doesn't have any of that anyway, and it hasn't done for the last 4 years. So even this, as it stands, is probably one hell of a lot more secure in so many different ways than my existing network. And because it is now working, I see no reason for us to delay using it. First, I'm going to safely power off the UDM. Confirm. I'll wait for all the lights to switch off on the UDM, and then I know I can unplug everything and we'll make the swap. So everything is now powered down. It comes up on the screen when it is safe to turn the machine off, the Dream Machine Pro, so that's quite handy. Now I've got the dumb switch downstairs underneath the TV setup, and that will run just fine. So I'll plug that in as normal until I get the opportunity later on or tomorrow to go down and swap it for the Flex Mini. So I can just connect, because I've got nothing complicated happening at the moment with configuration, I can just connect the dumb switch straight up. That's not a problem at all. So this is the portion of the rack that we're going to be focusing in. We've got our patch panel and our switch. We're going to move the patch panel up, going to give us a little bit more breathing space, and then we'll slide in the switch and the UDM Pro. A little bit later on as well, we'll have to reconfigure the time capsule because we don't want to have 2 DHCP servers running. That will really confuse matters. So we'll do that separately. We'll disconnect it for now, and we'll look at that later. The only reason I want to keep that up and running is not for an access point, obviously, simply for the hard drive that's in it. It's got a 3 terabyte drive in it, and it acts as my time machine backups. So for now, at least, I'll be keeping it active on the network. You know, just for the hell of it, guys, we are going to use the official Ubiquiti cage nuts and screws because they're nice and silver and they match the equipment. So a couple of people asked me on part 1 about the SFP clearance, and I have been sort of kind of hoping for the best with this one, folks, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know if we're going to be able to close the door, because obviously I don't want any unnecessary strain on these cables, and at the same time the cable is, let's get that 1 feet above, coming in from above, so it's not interfering. Okay, that one, and come on cable, that one. Can I get away with that? Is that acceptable? I don't know. We are up and running. I have full functionality, just like I did before, with everything. I can connect to my servers, Wi-Fi is up and running, and we are good to go. So I'm happy. Please don't say anything about my cable management. This is all completely temporary. I've just run these around the back there so it's all contained so I can still shut the door. All this is going to be redone. This whole thing is going to be redone properly in part 3. I've got the access point powered directly from the switch here. It's not downstairs at the moment. We'll be installing that properly in the future. And I'd like your input on this one, folks. For those of you who have used SFP and that know the cabling and know a bit more about it, is this acceptable? Is that kind of loop acceptable? As you can see, it's not a tremendous strain, but then again, that's just my opinion. So let me know if that's acceptable or not. What I can do is tie this loop up more neatly and it'll look nicer. But by having it tucked back there, it means that I can still close the door quite happily. So I want to be able to still close the door, obviously, but I need to know, guys, is that okay with that like that? So it wouldn't be right to finish off part 2 without installing the switch. So we're down here next to the TV and I've got the Flex Mini switch. And we're going to try and take off the old one and pop this one in its place. Now, in theory, we don't really have to remove the old one. It's tied underneath, and it would be probably a lot easier to just leave it there and swap this guy in, because the beauty of this guy is it's so lightweight in comparison. It's not going to need to be attached to anything. It'll just float there underneath. It's very close to the floor anyway, and the weight of 5 Ethernet cables in this guy will just kind of hold it suspended there under the cabinet amongst all the cabling. So we are still going to try and remove the TP-Link switch because it's just nice to get it out the way, and I can get rid of its transformer as well and free up a valuable socket underneath. So here's what we'll be replacing. This is the unmanaged TP-Link 8-port switch, and this is the beautiful managed, absolutely tiny UniFi Switch Flex Mini. So that's going in its place. Now this is the feed, so this will be going into the PoE port. We'll patch that upstairs in a minute because it's not currently patched in. And then all we've got under here are my 4 feeds. It doesn't matter what goes where currently because I'll be able to see upstairs anyway which one's which, obviously, on the UniFi controller. So for now, we'll just plug them all in. And I say for now, plugging them all in will be completely fine in general. So one is an Xbox One S. We have a Nintendo Switch, an Apple TV, and a Nintendo Wii U. So that's all of those connected via Ethernet. And this is what I sort of meant, you know, these cables are really rigid. So that'll just sit under the TV setup. No need to really secure it. If we really wanted to, we could throw it up here, but there's no point. There'll be a lot of heat coming off this transformer and stuff. So this will quite happily sit here and be suspended by these cables that are already cable tied. While I've been using this network for a couple of days with the TP-Link switch downstairs, I've had a little jumper going from port number 3 here on the UDM to port number 19 on the patch panel, which is the current number of the port for the TV drop. But we're going to change it with a slightly longer one because we're going to move on down to the switch. Just tuck these back here. The only reason I'm doing this horrible clustered mess here is just so I can close the door. As I said earlier, all of this is going to be sorted out. This is all very temporary. So let's bung it into port number 2, which will be the final destination for this guy. And there we have it, PoE and a gigabit link. PoE, gigabit link. Lovely. So the TV setup is working perfectly fine. I've got 2 devices fired up just to show you guys functionality. I've got the Apple TV playing back a film on the screen here at the moment. I've also got my Nintendo Switch on, and the reason I've fired 2 devices up is just to demonstrate that the switch is working with both 10100 and gigabit links. So the switch is in the final port here. You can see a gigabit link as indicated by the green LED there. It's communicating with the gigabit link that's on the incoming here. And then we have the 10100 link of the Apple TV. So that's all perfect. Oh, and the switch just went off, look, because presumably it went back to sleep. Yes, that's the case. So that's great. And let's just have a quick look on network here. And you guys will see that we are up and running with Ethernet, which is perfect. As you guys can see in the controller, the living room switch is indeed here and it's active. And if we take a quick look at it, you can see that it is connected to the main switch on port number 2, and it is serving devices downstairs. You can see the Apple TV there. So that's all exactly right. and it just worked straight away. Port 2 is the port that I've had it connected to while configuring the equipment as well, so that's absolutely perfect. A quick note while we're in here, what's really cool is because I had the Flex Mini connected to my Switch when it was just sitting in the rack, I got a notification when I unplugged it. So this is my first kind of alert, and it's cool because it now demonstrates to me what will happen if something gets disconnected. It literally tells you right here on the screen. What's also quite cool is I believe I will be able to see that on the mobile app and possibly even set notifications, push notifications for my phone to show me these kind of alerts when they happen. So that's really handy. That will, of course, go away, I presume, or do I have to tell it to go away? I'm not too sure. There we go. Yeah, we can just get rid of that alert. So that's absolutely perfect. So the network has just been up for nearly 2 days, as you can see. I've had the Switch on for 2 days, and it's counting down here very quickly, 2 days of install. So it's been great. It's been a fantastic 2 days. And the only slight changes that I've made in that time, I've fiddled with a couple of settings. The main ones that I'd like to show you are the naming of my devices. So I did realize after a little while that there's a model category and also a name category. So I thought it would be beneficial and easier if I gave everything a name. So to do that, all I did was click on the device and I went over into the configuration tab, general, and in here you can give the device an alias. That way, when you look at the map and stuff and you look at your network overall, it also displays very nicely on the mobile app as well. You can just see at the different points of the network here, you've got main switch, living room switch. It just looks a lot nicer. Not that beneficial with only 4 UniFi devices, but still nice to have. And if you have more devices, it becomes much easier. The second thing that I've done in my devices here is you can see I've got my devices now ordered in order of IP address. So I've given all of my UniFi gear a static IP. So I've left the UDM as default 192.168.1.1, and all of this gear is sitting on that same LAN network. It's still currently the only network that we have set up. We'll be setting up VLANs and I'll be separating out all of my gear in part 3, so that's something to definitely look forward to. But we've got all of my gear sitting here on the default LAN network, and to give them a static IP, all I did was went again into the configuration, down into network, and I just entered the details here for a static IP, and I've kind of gone in a logical order. So I've got the first switch, the main switch, straight after my UDM. Then I've got a nice range here. You can see the 2 switches are next to each other. If I add switches, I can just go 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. I've got a nice little breathing room for switches down the bottom. And then my access points start at 1.10. So if I add access points, I can go all the way up through the 1.10 range there. Now what I did have to do was alter the DHCP range of the LAN network. By default with the UDM, the LAN network comes set to start DCP at DHCP, sorry, at 192.168.1.6. So you've only got space for 5 devices underneath. So I did alter that, and to do that, all I did was I jumped into the networks section and I looked at the default network here, again the only network that we've got set up, edit, and I just changed the start DHCP address to 192.168.1.20. That way it'll start dishing out IPs for this address and above. Just gives a little bit more room down the bottom end there for static IPs. I just want to make 2 really quick points before we close up this video. Firstly, I had a lot of requests to make a very detailed, informative section about connecting the UDM Pro to my ISP. It was so easy. Yes, it took a long time, as you guys saw, but with my particular setup, which is a VDSL fiber to the cabinet connection from PlusNet, an OpenReach modem, and the UDM Pro, the only 2 pieces of information that I needed were my PlusNet login and my password, and that is it. As soon as those 2 things were entered into the UDM Pro, and as soon as you set the UDM Pro to PPPoE, that's all that needs to be done, and I was up and running, as you guys saw. It took time and it took multiple attempts, but no other information is necessary. So that was the entire ISP process. There's nothing more to show, and it really is that simple if you do have a fiber to the cabinet connection in the UK. Secondly, and the last point that I want to touch on, is my Apple time capsule. I have decided, since mentioning it previously, to completely remove it from my setup altogether, just ditch it. I am no longer going to be using it. It turns out that the way that I wanted to use the time capsule as just an Ethernet connected backup device is not really possible. I was able to configure it as a Wi-Fi backup device in bridge mode with no routing going on whatsoever, but to get it connected via Ethernet and running properly in bridge mode and with no access point enabled and stuff like that, it really was not playing ball, and it's not an officially supported mode of the time capsule. I just wanted it to basically be a NAS so that I could utilize the 3TB drive. I've since decided to go a different route. I'm going to migrate all of my Time Machine processes over to Scaro, and I'm going to invest in a little bit more backup for Scaro so that I get my data that's critically stored on that server backed up in another way. So I'm going to be taking the Time Machine completely out of the equation. That means all of the Apple stuff is gone, and it's quite refreshing really, because I did feel that the Time Machine would kind of linger on, and I didn't want that, the time capsule, sorry. So that's now off the setup completely. It's no longer up there. So that is it for part 2, folks. I hope you've all enjoyed. Stay tuned for part 3, where we're going to be taking a look at a little bit more advanced configuration of my network. We're going to set up some VLANs, we're going to set up some firewall rules, and we're going to get the network functioning in a lot more of a safe and intuitive way. And also we're going to be finishing the physical installation of the access point, and probably the most exciting part, we're going to be redoing the front of the rack here and some work in the back of the rack to tidy all this up, sort out all this cable mess, and make things really neat, and to just tie up all the loose ends and finish everything off. So part 3, I'm going to be working hard on that. Stay tuned, it'll be out really soon hopefully. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you all in part 3.